So once again, welcome to everybody. Welcome to the Monday webinar. Just a reminder, if anybody is on with us for the first time, this is where I'm just going to talk about what I think looks interesting for the week ahead. I don't really do too much trading Sunday night, Monday morning, although I have been watching the markets a little bit more on Monday mornings and not overly motivated to get in, but there has been some pretty good stuff happening. I'm starting to think that the UK session, the first UK session of the week, is pretty good. The US session's kind of, excuse my horrible language, but total crap. But the UK sessions, the European sessions, are looking pretty good to start the week off. So anyways, but this is what I'm looking for. These are trades that I'm watching and the things that I want to get into this week. And we have some really good setups. So if you have any questions, any currency pairs you want to bring up, anything you want to talk about, dollar index, oil, anything like that, just let me know. We'll chat about it. We will chat a Rooney about that. So don't even worry about that for 2 seconds. I just want to remind everybody that you can see how all of this is going to play out. You can go to my website, daytradersfx.com. You can get a free trial right at the front of the website. There's a button that says Get Started, it's free, and that'll take you to the join page and kind of explain a little bit more. You can get a 5-day free trial to the group. We'd love to have you with us. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how these trades will play out day by day. And it'll be a good way to get to get part of to become part of a Forex trading community. You can share some ideas. I spoke with somebody. I won't mention any names here, but I spoke with somebody earlier today that said, I really just don't know too many traders, and I thought, that is exactly why we're here. We're here to just connect people. Hopefully I'll provide some great trade ideas and we can all make some money off everything. But likewise, we can connect traders. We can get everybody together. You guys can share some ideas and we can just have a good little trading community here. So that is our purpose. Adrian, we are sure going to talk about the pound pairs for sure. Speaking of everything, for those that don't know, I love to watch the news. I like to trade the news. I like to trade in the direction of major news announcements. And one thing in particular, I'm super serious about watching central bank activity and what that is, how it plays out for each individual currency pair. It just so happens that it's been pretty, we've had a little bit of news the last several hours, and things have moved and so on. Last 24 hours, basically since the market opened. But look at this, coming into Tuesday, Carney will be speaking. Bank of England. We have the inflationary report hearings. He's always full of lots of surprises, so be ready for that. Following up, we'll have Draghi speaking. No problem. That should probably get the euro pairs moving a good little bit. And I don't want anybody to be concerned, but that's going to be followed up by Yellen speaking as well. Totally good. Oh, and then we're going to have a little bit of news from Bank of Canada. And then we'll just follow it up with a little bit of New Zealand activity as well. So pretty much 80% of all the central banks that we watch are all talking tomorrow. And it's going to be pretty crazy, I would imagine. So we don't know what they're going to say. We don't know what they're going to do. I'm not into the guessing games of assuming what might happen. What I am into is watching what they say and what they do and using some technical analysis to kind of give us that entry in light of what we hear from the central banks. And so we've got that all coming. Wednesday we've got Carney and Yellen speaking again. It's going to be intense. Draghi will speak again. We've got Thursday some more euro activity. We've got some CPI numbers for US and Canada. There's just lots of news coming out the rest of this week. So it is going to be an interesting week in the central bank department. So if any of you guys have a bank account at the central bank, it would be a good time to go in and see what they're up to. So it's going to be pretty wild and pretty crazy. So we're going to have to kind of keep a really close eye on all these levels and all these, how everything's kind of playing out, and then we'll just kind of follow things from there. I am getting very curious and cautious and interested about what is going to happen with the euro pairs. I can't imagine that there's going to be too much excellent news coming out of Europe. There's going to be news like catastrophe, avoided kind of a thing, and that could be taken as good news. I don't really expect any great news like, hey, we're actually going to raise interest rates because what we were worried about, we're no longer worried about. That's not coming anytime soon. But we might see some good little spikes coming out of the European region there, and so that could get the euro dollar up a little bit, and that could give us some great opportunities to sell some rallies on euro dollar. If we look at the bigger picture on this pair, it's kind of interesting. This last little run right here, our high of December to the low of January, is a pretty intense amount of pips. That's from 125.70 all the way down to the low there, which is around 11100. So as you can imagine, that was a 1400 or so pip move. Just in that little run right there, that's big enough for me to look for some fib retracement and some details. Hit the low, and it's pushed up above the 23% fib a couple of times, and then has really kind of failed right there. That 23% fib is around 114.50, and then we're still just kind of bouncing around here. So our levels that we're going to be looking for on euro dollar, I've been talking about this quite a bit, but it's 11300. But if we're really being a little more generous, we're looking for 112.75-50 kind of area, right around there. If the euro starts getting down below that, I could see some nice little moves back into those lows. But again, that's going to depend on what these central banks are saying. This is going to be our interesting area of, we're getting out of the consolidation, we're going to see a move go. So below about 11300, 112.75, right in that general area, with the help of the central banks, we should see some nice little moves back down into 11100, 11150, right around there. If we don't get that kind of love that we're looking for, then we have a very, very good chance of the euro dollar getting back up above about 114.50 and working its way into that 38% fib, which is around 116.50. So these are kind of two big areas that I'm watching. The 23% fib, once again, is about 114.50. And if we start getting some decent moves above that, then I'm going to be looking for a target of about, hold on here, let's put that in there, of about 116.50. And so I think that's going to be a super great area to be trading the euro into. So again, there's about 200 pips there. It should be a nice little move, and it's going to be central bank related type movement. I'm not really looking for the euro dollar to have much strength, but if we do see something, kind of dovish coming out of the U.S. and from Yellen, then that could give us some opportunities to just get some of that retracement. The euro dollar is incredibly overextended on most of my charts. It's not historically overextended, but it's pretty far down there, so I'm definitely not shy about the fact that we could see some moves higher, but we're just going to have to watch these levels, 112.75, or we'll start watching for moves above 114.50 into the 116.50 area, and that's about as high as I see the euro dollar going anytime super soon. Now, news could definitely push it further than 116.50, but it seems like a tough stretch for the euro to get too much beyond that, unless of course we hear some big changes out of the Fed and from Yellen. So that's what we're going to keep an eye on, and we'd love to start finding some opportunities to short the euro up around this area, up around 116.50, 11600, right in that general vicinity. Should get pretty interesting for opportunities to short this pair. So that's what I'm looking at on the euro dollar. Yeah, there's an easy 100 pips in kind of any direction on this euro. Absolutely. But it's probably going to be pretty choppy, until the news tomorrow, so I don't really anticipate doing too much tonight. But keep an eye on this 112.75. If this does break, we could see a quick 100 pip move down below that. So just be ready for that. Okay. The UK is demonstrating some pretty good strength. Remember, one thing that we want to look at is how is the pound performing against everything, and I do kind of currency comparisons in the group, and we look at a bunch of different pairs, and I recommend people get spreadsheets and look at that. But just generally speaking, 4-hour chart. If we look at a 4-hour chart, what's the pound done against the dollar over the last couple of weeks? Pretty nice little move up on 4-hour chart. Let's look at another pound pair real quick. Pound Aussie, 4-hour chart, decent-ish move, not quite as strong, but still a nice little upward movement. Pound Swiss franc, 4-hour chart, pretty nice little move there. Pound yen, 4-hour chart, nice move there. So the pound has been demonstrating some pretty good strength across the board against everything. And so what I'm looking for, we'll see how how everything goes there, how the carnage of Carney goes. But there's a major level here that has been, it's had a hard time. The market's been testing this quite a bit, and that's about 154.80. So above 154.80, I think we have a great opportunity to get into, into this monthly missed pivot right here, which is around 156, 15, 20 area. So there's a quick, it's, we're not talking huge amounts there, but there's a nice 100+ pip movement there. But the thing that I'm probably a little more interested in here is from this big move down on the pound dollar, and it's broken out of this big channel. That's what these big trend lines are right here. That puts us up into the 200 moving average. You can see that 154.80 is also our 23% fib, and we know if we can start making some moves above the 23% fib, we have as close to a guarantee as you can get that will reach the 38% fib, which is around 158.00, and that, my friends, is a pretty nice little 300+ pip movement from there. And I think we have a really, really good chance of getting up into that 38% fib if we can clear this 154.80, and that's going to really depend on how the coming news goes. So keep an eye on that. Pound dollar is looking very, very interesting above that level. I think we're going to have a really nice move there. Dollar CAD, I'm a little torn on dollar CAD. Remember, we want to see how is the Canadian dollar performing against a lot of other pairs, and once again go through the CAD Swiss franc, the Euro CAD, the pound CAD, the dollar CAD, and see how it's working, see how it's behaving. The dollar CAD is very, very, very super very overbought on the medium term time frames, which is like the 4-hour chart. It's so overbought that it's ridiculous. And even on the daily chart, it's pretty fantastically overbought. We're already at, you can see right here, historic movements have been about 1,357 pips from our reference point. We're currently at 1,366 pips, so we've gone further than the biggest move we've ever seen on the dollar CAD away from our reference point. So the dollar CAD is, in my book, a fantastic sell opportunity as soon as we can get it to calm down just a little bit. Now, interest rates and all those details are still putting pressure. Canada's just cut rates very recently. Oil is struggling, but oil is holding pretty well, actually. Oil has bounced off that 40. What do we have? Like a $43 low, somewhere around there, and it's bounced up quite a bit. And seems to be holding fairly well, and I think this is going to give the dollar CAD a great opportunity to kind of give us that retracement we're looking for. So I'm still looking for opportunities to short this rally. I just need a better signal, and then we're looking for a move down into at least the 23% fib, which is around 122.75, 85, right around there. So we're looking for that, and we could see a move even bigger. We could see a move down into 120, down into 120, which would be about our 38% retracement. But this one is looking very, very good. I like the dollar CAD a bunch, and I'm looking for any opportunities here. We have a little rising wedge that's not giving us as much love as I'd like to see, but it's a decent rising wedge, and if we start to see some breaks of this, it'll give us a great opportunity to short this thing. But it's so overbought, it's ridiculous, and it needs to start coming back down. And oil will be a great one to watch for that. Yep, and it will be time to throw some massive dollar CAD positions on there. So liking that a lot. Remember, once again, if we look at yen pairs, how is the yen behaving against everything? Here's our 4-hour chart. The last couple of weeks, the yen has been sideways against the dollar, totally sideways against Australia, totally sideways against Swiss franc, pretty much completely sideways against the pound. totally sideways against the euro. So we're just waiting at this point for a break of yen pairs. I like this dollar yen channel right here a lot, and it seems to be respecting this level very, very well. So I'm looking for 119.40 to break or 118.25. One of those two should give us a pretty decent movement of, of probably 100 to 150 pips. Nothing major, but I think they're going to be, nice little moves there. So we've got to move into the high, which is just over 100 pips, or we could get a move on the break of the low down into some of these lows, which is just pretty much exactly 100 pips. So I'm not looking for more than 100 pips either direction, but we should get 100 pips in one direction or the other if those levels break. 119.40, 118.25, and that is all I have to say about that. I'm just totally waiting, and we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. Aussie New Zealand is my favorite pair to love and hate all at the same time. So Aussie New Zealand is such an interesting one. We still have sell pressure on the Aussie New Zealand, and we need to hear something come out of Australia that's a little more bullish, or something out of New Zealand that's a little more bearish for the big turnaround to happen. But I'm still very 1,000,000% confident that it's going to happen, and we're going to see that move. So Australia versus New Zealand dollar is looking really great. This most recent movement right here, which is from the high of January down into the low of February, it's only about 500 pips, but it's enough of a retracement. It's something that I'm watching that I think is interesting. If we look at kind of this big retracement level, we had that major double top, triple top actually back there. It ran down, it retraced nicely beyond the 38% fib, and proceeded to make some new lows. So that's why we're looking at this range now, right here, because it's definitely a couple hundred pips long, and the previous range has already kind of played out. So the Aussie New Zealand major stall out at the 23% fib, retraced right to that 23% fib, stalled out, right back down again. So we're looking for the Aussie New Zealand to hold. Super excited about buying any dips on this pair and trading it up into these fib levels and beyond. So it had a nice little breakout. It's all looking very good there, but we've got to clear that 23% fib before we can get some big movements out of that. So Aussie New Zealand is looking just amazing. We just want to buy dips. The lower the better. If we can get into dips around 102.50, 103.00, anything like that is going to be just totally good. Totally good. Okay, so that's what we're looking for on Aussie New Zealand. Good, nice trade there, Adrian. Nice trade. Speaking of Aussie pairs, we have a very nice little, again, going along the note of the yen pairs. Yen pairs are very sideways, and they're very choppy, and they're pretty much very ugly right now, all things considered. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for the Aussie yen to finally break out and give us a move. I like this rising wedge. It's a pretty fantastic rising wedge. It's been in a nice channel for a couple of months. It's coming up to the top of that channel, and it's looking to break and make a move down. And that move down is looking pretty rock solid. So I'm going to be watching this Aussie yen. I'll probably and possibly be short, maybe around 92.15 or so. I don't know. I don't want to get in too terribly soon, but somewhere in that general vicinity should give us a nice move on the Aussie yen. And I do like this. I do like this setup. So I'm just keeping an eye on that one, watching it, ready for any kind of activity. I am keeping a casual eye on gold. Gold is looking moderately interesting. It's been in a nice channel and a big pullback. We'll see what gold does. It's right back down to some of these historic levels. Not historic levels, but definitely low points of the last fairly long time. It's really bouncing around. I'm still looking for gold to hit the 50% fib, and I think it's going to get there. And it's looking more convincing now than it has recently. That puts us down at 1,088. Which I don't think is a huge run for gold, but it's having a big struggle at 1150. Big struggle at 1150 slash 1180. So we'll just watch this, but I'll be looking for opportunities to buy gold at that lower price. The dollar peso is one that I'm keeping an eye on, but I'm very much not super excited about getting into this. It's a wild pair, and it moves craziness. So keep an eye on that. But the dollar peso is starting to look interesting, and there could be some nice opportunities to short this pair at the breaks of some of these levels here. So that's dollar peso. And then everything else, you know, I'm just keeping my eye on some of these details like the Aussie Swiss franc. If we continue to see Aussie bearish action, then I'm going to trade a bear flag breakout, a big massive one on this Aussie Swiss franc. We totally missed our entry last week. I was talking about trading this from the 23 to the 38% fib. There's our 23% fib. There's that move right up into the 38% fib for about 230 pips. Kind of missed that one. So anyway, that is that one I'm just keeping an eye on. That one's definitely on the back burner. Watching the pound Swiss franc, back burner type trade. Watching the pound yen, also a little bit of a back burner type situation, and not doing a darn thing on the euro yen. So we have a lot of other pairs: pound CAD and the euro CAD and the pound Aussie and the euro Aussie, and those ones are all looking a little crazy for my taste right this moment. So I'm going to revisit those as the week goes on, but for the moment, I think we have some pretty decent activity with the euro dollar. Nice little breakout on that pound dollar in the works. Dollar CAD is also looking good. Dollar yen is looking great. Aussie New Zealand is looking great. We just have some really good opportunities with some pairs that don't look too out of control. So those are all the big setups I'm watching for this week. We'll see how they all go. We will we'll hold out for these positions, and we should have some nice trades coming this week. So it's looking pretty exciting. Again, if you'd like to see how these play out, if you'd like to see how some of these news announcements go and how we kind of, follow the news, then just go to daytradersfx.com/join. And sit in the trade group with us this week. It doesn't cost you a single penny, and it's not one of those things that it's really complicated to cancel if you decide you don't like it. You just shoot us over an email. If you send over an email 5 hours late because you've already been charged, I'm not trying to steal money out of anybody's pocket. We happily refund things if people didn't get to cancel their free trial in time. So just come in and join us. See what it's like. There's nothing. You got nothing to lose. It won't cost you any money, and chances are you'll probably make enough this week to pay for 6 months of your membership. So I'd say it's worth it. So we'd love to have you guys. Let me get this recording posted, and I'll take some questions, comments. I'll see what you guys are looking at, and we'll go from there.